Fantastic. Thanks, man. Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick. Next up, we have Kathleen Booth from SQL.io.
Thanks for the
Yeah. Another customer. Perfect. Cool. Also, I know we ran out of pizza, so we have a little bit more coming if you didn't get any the first time. Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit of both.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm kind of really intimidated because I am not an engineer. I'm not a GTM engineer. I am not a marketing engineer. I am a VP of marketing. I do not have a technical background. I did not have a GitHub repo until like 3 months ago. I still think it's hysterical that I have one. Is there anybody else here who's non-technical like me? Like 3 people. Great. Okay. So it's just a little bit intimidating. So a little bit of context on SQL because it's relevant to what I'm going to talk about. We are a webinar platform. There are a ton of them. It's a very crowded, competitive landscape. And I think we have 19 competitors that we track. And our biggest competitors are huge legacy players. So Cvent just acquired Goldcast and On24, which were big competitors. And then Zoom is another one. And then there's a bunch of tiny ones. But the point being, we can't outspend our competitors. We are a challenger brand. We move insanely fast. We have an unbelievable product team that is constantly innovating. And the great part of that is that we have new product launches literally every week. The bad part about it is that I joined the team last November to lead marketing, and the marketing team is me, a demand gen person, and 2 BDRs. So we have new product launches every week and no product marketer. So selfishly, when I joined, I started to solve for myself and immediately looked at how could I use AI to solve product marketing. Because when I joined, not only did we have no product marketer, but they told me, we've released things for the last 4 months and haven't announced them yet, and we need to catch up. So my 30, 60, 90 went out the window, and I joined November 1st, and the goal was by Christmas to catch up, so in the first 60 days. And what wound up happening is I used the first 30 days to get onboarded, understand the company, and then we decided to do something called 12 days of shipping in December, where we did a new product launch every day for 12 days, leading right up to the holidays. It was insane, and the only reason I could do it is because of AI. And the system has definitely gotten smarter. When I first started, it was a prompt chain in ChatGPT with a bunch of really good training documents. But it's gotten much better because I did discover and learn how to use Claude Code in February. I am completely obsessed. And so everything I'm building now is done in Claude Code. I use VS Code instead of the terminal. I find it easier. I love it. I spend a lot of time in it. But what I'm going to share with you are 2 things. One is the product marketing brain, and then I'll tell you about something I just built this weekend. So the product marketing brain. Basically, when I first got here, I built training documents including our ICP, our personas, our voice and tone, our messaging. I fed it everything I possibly could, all of our call transcripts, meeting recordings with the head of product when he was telling me what the product did, meeting recordings with the CEO when she shared her vision, like literally everything I could give it. Thank God for call recording. And I built a library of training documents. Gave that to AI. Then my new system has an intelligence layer, which is essentially, it starts with competitive intelligence. So it goes out every week to all 19 competitors, and it scans their product update blogs, any news releases they do, any press coverage on them, basically all the sources you would typically look at if you were trying to figure out, did they release something new, did anything change with the platform? Or were there any big, M&A announcements or funding rounds? And that scans weekly. In the beginning, it used to just be through Manus, and it would send me a PDF, and then I would manually post it to Slack. Now I have it set up with a Slack app that I built, and it posts to Slack for our whole team to see with all the news from the week, linking back to the sources. Excuse me. And I have markdown files, excuse me, for each competitor. So where it started to get really smart is, and I don't know why I'm going to cough so much, excuse me, is the weekly competitive intelligence scan, when it's finished, basically, the system looks at that, updates the markdown files on each competitor with the recent news, and so they get smarter every week. And I have a constantly self-updating set of individual competitor markdown files that are fully up to date. Thank you so much. And so for each competitor, I have a source of truth. I built the same thing for SQL. I have a source of truth on us and our product so that then I could go and essentially do comparisons. Where it started to get really interesting was 2 areas. One was around battle cards. I kept getting requests for battle cards from my sales team, but with 19 competitors, it was just a lot to have to do, again, with no product marketer and all the other things I had to do in marketing. And so I built a skill that looks at my markdown files. It's integrated with Google Drive, and it basically builds Google slide decks that are formatted battle cards for the competitors. And then the battle cards self-update using a skill that I created that looks each week at the new additions to those markdown files that I described from the competitive workflow, and then pushes anything relevant to the battle card. I can also feed it manual information, essentially, like if my sales team gives me feedback, I can give that to it. And I'm working on more of a recursive loop, which I'll get into in a minute, but that's been a huge unlock. So we have battle cards for all 19 competitors. They're pretty much self-updating for the most part, so that's on like a set it and forget it basis. But what's also great is because I have the markdown files and the battle cards, I can build a more, let's call it customer-friendly skill in Claude, because most of my team is not using Claude Code, and so I can put it into Claude. They can query the project, which is synced with my markdown files and all the other information I have on the competitors, and if they just have a random question while they're on a live call, they can ask it and get an answer pretty quickly. So they really like that. The other thing that I built was a product launch skill, and again, it started with a prompt chain, but now I can take a brief from our chief product officer, give it to Claude Code, and because it has all the information on our buyers, on our product, on our competitors, it can build everything I need for a product launch. Everything from the product brief, to the blog, to the script for a founder video, to sales enablement messaging, again, like additional battle cards if I need it, BDR, outbound emails, etc. The next step is going to be staging those outbound emails to Apollo. I haven't done that yet, but we're getting there. So that's sort of the system I built. And I think the lessons I learned along the way were definitely, you have to start with amazing training documents and as much source material as possible. So the call recordings, I love Whisperflow for just being able to talk to my AI all the time. And then switching from initially prompting to building skills, the big thing I learned the hard way, which might be obvious to all of you who are more technical, is in the beginning I tried to build single skills that could do everything, and that did not work. And so now what I've learned is to really atomize it and separate each individual job to be done by AI into a single skill, and then have something that orchestrates all the skills together. And so they're working in concert, but they each have their own area of expertise. That's made a huge difference. And then the other thing that's made a huge difference is really keeping it all in Claude Code, because for me at least, the 2 things that are super important to me to make this useful, one is persistent memory. So across my conversations, having it remember the things I've talked about previously from different conversations. I really wanted that. I wanted it to get smarter over time and have that memory. And the other is recursive learning. And so I wanted to make sure that I could dialogue with the results I was getting. And so when I first started building a lot of these things, I would try to have it send it to me in Slack or send me an email or what have you. And you can't really dialogue with those things. So I've changed it, and now everything possible lives in Claude Code. I give it feedback. I say, I don't like that. Please change that. And then I can tell it to remember it, and it has built-in memory files. And so it is always getting smarter and remembering my preferences. Those were huge unlocks for me. And setting things with cron jobs and GitHub has helped as well. Two quick things I was going to mention on this. I do have a little guide I put together for how you can recreate this. And I actually built it as I was sitting back there in the corner as a little Vercel page for you. So I'm going to give you a QR code, but if you want to create this product marketing brain, I have this public, you don't even have to take a picture because I'm going to give you a QR code. And it'll link right to this page. But this has like down to the actual instructions that you can give to, for GitHub Actions and the Claude MD file that goes with this. So I'm going to just skip ahead for a second. There, now you can get your camera out if you want it. And so this has been a big unlock. We just hired somebody to lead product marketing, so the pressure is off of me a little bit, but what's great is I now can give him this whole system and he can run with it and make it even better. The other thing I was just gonna mention is I took this same approach, and over the weekend, I built a personal operating system, and one of the things I do is I write a weekly Substack, so I have the link up here to it, and I chronicle all of this as I'm going. And full disclosure, I am not an expert, and so literally it's like if I was a doctor, I'd be telling you seek medical advice before doing anything I'm telling you right now. But if you're interested in the personal operating system, it's sort of the same philosophy, but I built it this weekend. There's a document in my Substack, which is the Code Meets Creed link, that tells you how to build it, and it now goes out, and I can show you an example here from my VS Code terminal. It goes out every week, and it looks at all the granola transcripts from the past week. So I have a couple things. It summarizes those for me. It lists my action items. It looks at all the ClickUp tasks I have that are overdue and coming up. It looks at my email, my calendar, and it presents me with a weekly briefing, and then I have a daily rhythm as well that'll look at the last 24 hours and basically prep me for the day. And when it gives me the to-dos, I can say, hey, like if these are all the action items, I can say add 1, 5, and 7 to ClickUp, and it knows like exactly where to post them. And it's great because it's trained on a chief of staff prompt that I stole out of Kyle Poyar's newsletter from a guy named Justin Norris, which is a great prompt, and it literally is like having an executive mentor, and it gives me advice on how to communicate with my CEO, what to watch out for, etc. So this has been a huge unlock, and all the instructions for this are in the latest issue of my Substack. So I'll stop there. Any questions? Yeah.
When you create a skill, how do you teach someone on your team about it? How do you share it with them?
Oh, this is the $1 million question. The question is, how do you teach someone on your team about a skill? So I will admit, when I first started at the company, I was not teaching anyone anything. I was in survival mode and just like solving for myself. And now, like, I call it going from single player to multiplayer, right? Like, now we have to go to multiplayer, and I don't know that we have a great solution yet. I will say I just started doing, as part of our weekly team meetings, we have AI show and tell, and everybody, like, the expectation is that everybody share at least one thing they're doing with AI, and it can be super basic. It could be like, hey, it helped me write an email. But we do have some people on the team that are more AI forward, and so I think just like seeing what people are building is probably the best way, because I find, at least as somebody who doesn't have an engineering background, that the biggest limitation is like a failure of imagination, just understanding what the tools are capable of. And so when you see stuff that other people have built, it unlocks a lot. And yeah, yes.
Have you thought about expanding that system to generate like ads or demand gen material as opposed to just battle cards?
Yeah, so a colleague of mine, the person we just hired for product marketing, he actually also has a content marketing background. He has built an entire content marketing system off of this that looks at our content performance, it looks at how we're ranking, it takes all the training documents I created, and he has like a way to self-update all of our blogs, to write new ones, to create pillar content. So he's doing that. We're starting to build out solutions for outbound as well. That's an area where I think we have a lot of room for efficiency improvements. But I forgot to mention at the beginning, we do not have an ops team. We have nobody in ops. And I mean, we're growing fast. We're like tripling in size every year. And so that's why, I say we're running really fast to try to solve for our own problems. And so hopefully we're going to have ops really soon. But for right now, we're just trying to keep up with the speed of the product team. Yes.
When you mentioned the single source of truth, but there's like launches happening every week, how do you make sure you're losing up, like removing the old context and your single source of truth is not like poisoned by outdated content?
Yeah, so the question is, how do we make sure the single source of truth stays updated if we're launching so rapidly? So part of it, this is like goes back to that like loop. Part of it is that every time we launch, we feed the information on the launch back in to the what I call like the master product training document. So we have like this one document. I think of it as like a Wikipedia entry on our platform, and with every launch, it gets added. And then every time we update our messaging, that gets added in as well. We're not removing things yet, but because we have the recursive learning, if something pops up and it's inaccurate, like somebody else said they believe in having a human in the loop. I do too. I call it the bookend strategy. I usually try to start by giving AI my perspective and my point of view. I let it run, and then when it comes back, I review what it gives me. And that's why I like keeping it in Claude Code, because if I see something inaccurate, I can be like, hey, that's not right. Fix that, and it will remember it from now on. So I find that, for me at least right now, that's working. There's probably a better way to do it. Yes.
When you say that you're looking into deploying things for outbound use cases, what do you see as like the lowest hanging fruit?
Oh my gosh, so much. So I have the BDRs reporting into me, and the biggest frustration I have is that if there's 5 days in the week, they probably spend one full day researching and prepping to call people, and I would just really like them to come in and call people. And so I think the first thing I want to solve is list building for outbound, and I want to do it in a way that feels like really useful, because we've done a few list building exercises in the past, but they haven't felt confident in them. And so getting that right is probably my #1 priority, so that they can just come in and like power dial. And then I think secondary to that, because we have so many signals right now to work off of. So the first problem is not like create more signals, it's get them calling. The second would then be like more demand gen plays, like, you win an account, you go after the competitors, you do the job changers. I mean, we're doing that a little bit more manually now, and so I think that would be probably second for me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Perfect. Thank you, Kathleen. That was fantastic.